say a few ways that COVID has affected me. I've had COVID. I was sick for about 18 hours. Took 58,000 IU of vitamin D. I was about 7% better the next day. My uncle's 85. He didn't know he had COVID. His wife passed away on a ventilator. So I mean, they're in their mid-80s. That's kind of normal. That was a clue to me. I was, today, June 1st, I was invited to the YG. I'm an engineer consultant. I do green buildings. I even did the energy audit and recommissioning of this building we're in right now. And I literally taught the YG how to turn energy audits into energy projects. And I cannot participate in their qualified source list, which closed today because I haven't taken an illegal, unscientific shot that doesn't stop COVID. So that's absolutely ridiculous. About a month and a half ago, I drove my girlfriend, we're not together anymore, obviously, but I drove her to Calgary so that she could hop a plane into the States so that she could move to Mexico because she's an unvaccinated nurse who cannot work in the Yukon, and she was bleeding money here. And so who can blame her for leaving? And like Jonas said, there's all kinds of vacancies for qualified nurses and qualified health people. Why would you fire someone who's qualified and highly experienced in the midst of a pandemic? What else? I'm going to talk about one of the people that I knew who died directly after the shots. It was my sister's best friend. The other person who died, I don't know the details. We went out a few weeks at the end of 2020, and I heard a few months ago that she passed away of a stroke shortly after having her shot. I don't know the details, but I was quite upset when I heard that because she was quite concerned. But yeah, so this is not about health. This has never been about health. I could tell this right from the beginning. 4 years ago, I had bladder cancer, and I went down the rabbit hole of learning about health, about learning about nutrition, and what the pharmaceutical industry does. They do not want healthy people. Their playbook is to disempower you and pretend that your body is not the main factor in healing from any single disease. Your immune system is literally the key to healing from everything, and they do not want you to believe that. They want you taking their synthetic, patentable products, okay? Nothing that's naturally occurring in nature, they can't own it. They don't want you taking it. They don't want you knowing that you can heal with it. But literally, that is how we got to this place. This is how we evolved on this planet. So I'm going to start with Mr. Science himself. You can see how I spelled science because this is how he approaches science now. But this is his words too. If you disagree with him, you disagree with science. So I'm just going to let him speak from, this is him about 20 years ago. Can you play that video? You just need to hit you should be able to click on the play button there.
But she's had the flu for 14 days. Should she get a flu shot?
Well, no. If she got the flu for 14 days, she's as protected as anybody can be because the best vaccination is to get infected yourself.
And so she should not get it?
If she really has the flu, she definitely doesn't need a flu vaccine. If she really has the flu.
She should not get it again?
No, she doesn't need it because it's the most potent vaccination is getting infected yourself.
So if you've had an infection, your body has encountered the entire virus. You can go to the next slide. Your body has encountered the entire virus, and what your immune system does is it learns, it uses the T cells and B cells, and it actually learns and creates a blueprint of this virus so the next time you encounter it or anything similar to it, it has an idea of what to do. And this is literally how we evolved on this planet. We are literally sitting in this room because of natural immunity. Yet social media decided we're going to block the hashtag natural immunity on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, because they don't want you knowing that you literally are here because of natural immunity. Okay? Instead, what they're telling people that you should do is take a never-before-used experimental treatment that teaches your body to produce in your body, not in the injection site, but all over your body because it migrates. It teaches your body how to produce 1 out of 29 of the proteins in the SARS-CoV-2 virus, okay? So if you want to, like I'm an engineer, okay? If you want to do a building and you want a blueprint of that building, do you want 1/29th of the blueprint or do you want the whole blueprint? You want the whole blueprint. Because if you don't have the whole blueprint, guess what? The immune system might get confused. And that could be very dangerous. And that is what I'm seeing, and that was what I was afraid of right from the beginning. And the fact that this is not being talked about in the media, we have one media person here, thank you so much for coming. I'm the one who sent out the media, stuff. Jonas, by the way, wrote it. He's in the back somewhere. Thank you so much, Jonas. You made me sound so much more politically correct than I can be. But I never got one email, not one phone call. I'm thrilled that at least one reporter came to this event. And you would think that at the end of, like, we're not even at the end. We're 27 months into the thing that has affected more people than any other thing in the history of the world. You think about that. This is bigger than World War II. This is bigger than World War I. This is the biggest thing ever, and the media doesn't even want to come and hear local perspective on this thing. That's insane. That tells you, if that doesn't tell you what's going on, I don't know what's wrong with you. But what happened we're back at the beginning here. So yeah. So this is, I'm wearing her shirt. My sister got me this shirt. This is my sister's best friend, her next door neighbor. They have two daughters who are a month apart. My niece turns 7 on Friday. That's the, so, and then her daughter will be 7 in July. But Jolene had COVID in April. It was a mild cold for her. She was sick for about a week. And, but she wanted to spend her 40th birthday in Jamaica in February. So on my sister's birthday, October 13th, she went and got the shot. The next day, my sister and her went for a drive. The day after that, her two kids kissed their mom goodbye on a Friday and went to see their dad, and they never saw their mom again. She was dead by Sunday at 7:30, and if I have time, I'll read what her mom sent me. I messaged her mom the other day to ask if she wanted me to say anything. But basically what happened is her organs started failing her. She had diarrhea and vomiting the day before she went in the ambulance. She ended up in the hospital in Prince Albert, and they basically tied her down, had her on a ventilator. She vomited while on the ventilator and might have choked from that. We don't know exactly what she died from. But her mom said her blood was pooling in her eyes. You could see it happening. And she was gasping for air. So, like, this is a horrible, horrible death. And she sent me the medical record because Dr. Nagasi actually helped Jolene's mom and told her what to get. And it said on the record, probable COVID, assumed positive, and from what I understand, at least, she was recorded as a COVID death unvaccinated. Now this is called lying with statistics, okay? Now I can't say for sure that that's the truth. However, from what I've seen from the documentation, my sister even went into the pharmacy where she was injected and they recorded it. I think it was from Edmonton. Someone came and recorded it live on Facebook as she told them, you need to put my friend into the database, the Canadian database of vaccine deaths, because this is not in the database. Anyway, go to the next slide, please. So I took this photo of my sister and her daughters and Jolene and her daughter, and like, I don't want to make anyone upset, but I mean, like, her two daughters, like I said, they never saw their mom again. They won't let their dad out of their sight now. The youngest one, she barely spoke before her mom died, and now it's even worse apparently. And I mean, these poor kids, and their dad was an electrician. He had to quit his job, and now he has to sit at home and take care of these girls. And I even told Jolene, you've had COVID, don't take the shot. There's been multiple studies that show that if you take the shot after you've had COVID, your body is more likely to react. It could really harm you. Next slide, please. So, okay, like if our medical experts were actually working for us, if they actually cared, if Dr. Hanley and whoever's in charge now of, it was Catherine Elliott, whoever doesn't have a conscience and likes to read from a script, that's their job, is reading from a script. Because if they actually were health experts and they cared about us, they would talk about how to make people healthy in the middle of a pandemic. They would tell you, your immune system fights off all infections, but not one word on the immune system. And that is because I think they're literally trying to harm people's immune systems. That's literally what I think this is about. Proper nutrition to improve health comes in all areas. If they really wanted to empty the hospitals, that's what they would say. They would tell you that your body is a machine, and if it doesn't get the proper nutrients and the proper inputs, it cannot perform properly, and you're going to get sick. It's just so simple. You are what you eat. But you know what? Even doctors don't learn this. Ask your doctor. Go to your doctor and ask them, how long were you in school for, and how long did you spend learning about nutrition? And you'll be shocked. Most of them have not learned a damn thing about nutrition. Nothing. Vitamin D. Kids used to get vitamin D here in the Yukon in elementary school. It is the hormone. It turns into a hormone in your body. It regulates your immune system, and it helps your body to fight off infection. And you can go to vdmeta.com. They've done, I think, like 110 studies or something. It's crazy how many studies they've done. VD-Meta means vitamin D meta-analysis. And they found a 74% improvement in all areas of COVID by having proper vitamin D in your body. I think it was 86% of people who end up in the hospital are vitamin D deficient. And if you are vitamin D you're vitamin D deficient, you're 34% more likely, you're 34% more likely to die if you're vitamin D deficient. Okay? Why weren't any of these so-called health experts talking about vitamin D? That is insane. Well, I know the reason. They're paid not to. They're reading from a script. Address metabolic issues. Most of the people who died from this have metabolic issues. That should have been done. Early treatment options. Dr. Nagasi mentioned ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, zinc, vitamin D, NAC, all kinds of options. COVID is a disease of inflammation, and it is a disease of the lungs. There's tons of drugs that deal with those things. By the way, I don't know if I said this, but I'm an engineer. I use science for a living. I have a degree in applied science. Okay, I'm not a doctor, but when I see science like this being ignored, it's not science, it's propaganda. And that's what we've been given, is propaganda, not science. In one word, though, if they were really working for us, they would be empowering people to take care of themselves and end this ridiculous nonsense. Can you hit next, Brad? Disempowerment is what we got. Instead, what we got was disempowerment. The options that they gave us literally do nothing. And here's the thing. The very best lies have elements of truth built right into them. So, there's a virus going around, and if you stay 6 feet apart, you might be able to evade a virus. You cannot evade a virus that is so minuscule, it's like these masks. It's like trying to stop a swarm of mosquitoes with a chain link fence. Literally. Like if you took it to scale, that's basically what's going on. It's like you could stop a spittle from coming from someone's mouth, and you could stop a sneeze with a mask. But we got constant fear, which damages the immune system. Hand sanitizer, which damages the outer layer of your immune system. Your skin, it has flora and fauna, and if it gets poisoned, your immune system is damaged. And they put that on every time at the hospital. It shocks me to see that people that work in the hospital literally touch something and then they put on hand sanitizer like hundreds of times a day. Like, what's wrong with you? Seriously, social distancing. Let's make ourselves less communal animals because we need human connection to feel good. So they tell us that social distancing, which is the opposite of what is going to actually enliven us and make us feel good. Plastic barriers. Let me tell you, every single building has machines blowing the air around. A plastic barrier is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. It literally is. Water lockdowns. These have caused more problems than anything, and there's been lots of studies that are coming out now, lots of politicians talking about it. Social bubble, blaming the healthy, blaming the unvaccinated. This is what we got. I criticized Hanley and Sandy Silver last year in the June 19th paper, and they actually printed it. And basically, they were pitting the unvaccinated against the vaccinated. That's what they were doing, which is horrible. Can you go to the next? But yeah, this is divide and conquer. Everyone who's interested, take your phone out, take a photo of this slide, and go to that globalcovidsummit.org, and they've done a new declaration. It's a 1-hour video. They presented 10 declarations of what should happen in the world. And there's 17,000 doctors in this group. And that's more doctors than in the FDA, the CDC, and I believe the NIH combined. Okay? These are not doctors who are beholden to the hospitals or beholden to their universities. By the way, Dr. Fauci has had a budget of over $6 billion for about the last 40 years. Tell me you can't make a lot of friends with $6 billion at your fingertips to give out for 40 years. That's what's really going on. People are protecting their pocketbooks, but the money system's going to be destroyed soon. Or at least it's going to be so highly disproportionate that we're all going to own nothing and be happy. Woo! Anyway, I just want to say a couple things about these declarations. They say these experimental genetic injections must end. All travel and social restrictions must cease. Masks are not and have never been effective against an airborne respiratory virus. Pfizer, Moderna, BioNTech, Janssen, AstraZeneca, all of them should be immediately indicted for fraud, and we declare government and medical agencies must be held accountable. It's time to start holding people accountable. This is wrong. The fact that they're not here shows exactly that they're chicken shits, because they know that they've fucked up. And I'm sorry to swear, but that is the word that is appropriate. These people who should be sitting there need to be held accountable. And I'm afraid it's going to be a lot more scary for them than a bunch of people getting angry about having their medical rights violated. By the way, in terms of the Yukon, this is colonizing the body. That is literally what has been going on. They are colonizing our last space. This is, I believe, that we come into Earth. This is our seat of our soul. Our body is our vessel to explore this plane of existence, whatever you want to call it, and they're trying to colonize that and take it over. That's...
Well, okay, I agree with all those things, but how can government and medical agencies be held accountable? How?
There's lots. Well, Trudeau's trying to get rid of people's guns right now, which might be a hint. But I'm not advocating for that in any way. I'm just saying that these people know that they have screwed up. And there's lots of legal repercussions, but seriously, accountability has to happen.
But as somebody already mentioned, the legal thing is going to be like 5 years to get all this counter legal business back and forth, right?
Make sure they don't sleep at night. That's what I say. Spread the truth. Make sure these people can't sleep at night.
Make sure they can't walk down the street.
Well, the voting system needs to go. I agree, but
You put the same fear that they put into us back into them.
well, that is one way. Someone says put the same fear into them as they put into us back into them, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be feeling that on their own pretty soon. Next. Yes.
I followed Stanford during the lockdown. I didn't have work, so I was looking into a lot of different groups, legal groups. And on Stanford B, they're teaching people how to stand up for themselves, and they use it through the ticket and the Bill of Rights. Stay away from the charter. The charter was created by Trudeau's father to destroy democracy. The charter has
there's a book called The Battle Book too that you can look up, and it's got all of that stuff cited. I haven't read the whole thing. Legal jargon is boring for me. But
You don't have to, like you can, but what they're finding is that by using the Bill of Rights, the courts will drop tickets. Left,
Bill of
right, and
Rights.
center.
Bill of Rights for anyone who
You don't
can't
have
hear
to
that.
fear SEMA.
The
And when SEMA
courts
goes
are.
I'm not afraid of SEMA. I'll tell them.
A lot of people are.
Anyway,
But when SEMA goes outside the White Horse, they are not allowed to give you a ticket.
Yep, maritime law, and you can go.
okay, can I continue my presentation? Okay, so in case I haven't already started to explain this, this is not about health, this is about control. It's really about you'll own nothing and be happy. Who thinks that's possible? Woo! I can't wait. It's like, you work hard your whole life, you get an education so that they can take it away from you, like they froze truckers' accounts, they froze people's accounts. It's already happening, okay? And this is their plan. So, you'll own nothing and be happy translates into we will own everything, and if you do what we say, you can have what we allow you to. You do not have a purpose unless we allow it. You are not a sovereign being who has the right to determine your own life and your own destiny. You are our cattle. We will monitor everything about your life, and you will comply or you will be punished. And you're probably looking at that, and some people are like, oh, he's some kind of crazy conspiracy theorist. Like, where would he get that idea? Go to the next slide, please. I'm going to show you a video of Klaus Schwab's advisor. This is basically his right-hand man. His name is Yuval Noah Harari. And when you're watching this, listen carefully to what he's saying. I want you to ask yourself, do I want this person deciding my life for me?
So this is the crucial revolution, and COVID is critical because this is what convinces people to accept, to legitimize total biometric surveillance. If we want to stop this epidemic, we need not just to monitor people, we need to monitor what's happening under their skin. What we have seen so far, it's corporations and governments collecting data about where we go, who we meet, what movies we watch. The next phase is the surveillance going under our skin. Humans are now hackable animals. You know, the whole idea that humans have, you know, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over. The easiest people to manipulate are the people who believe in free will. Because you manipulate them and they don't even suspect because, hey, I chose it because this is my free will. Earth will be populated or even dominated by entities that are not organic, that they don't breathe, they don't have emotions. Like the potential of AI is much, much bigger than any historical revolution. It's really a biological revolution. There is no such thing as free will. And now if you give the tools to start changing or overcoming biology, just, you know, think about sex life. Almost every religion and every ideology wanted to really change human sexuality or limit it, but they couldn't. You had vows of chastity in the church, and how many people actually lived up to the vows of chastity? Now think if you can really start messing with human biology, what will be the result of these sexual fantasies of different religions and ideologies? Then the big political and economic question of the 21st century will be, what do we need humans for? Or at least, what do we need so many humans for?
Do you have an answer in the book?
At present, the best guess we have is keep them happy with drugs and computer games.
So that was an 8-minute video that I turned into 2.5 minutes because it's irritating to hear him talk any longer. I picked out probably the most relevant parts, but he says the same thing like that over and over and over again. And he like literally, this person doesn't value human life at all. He's completely insane as far as I'm concerned. And like this whole idea of transhumanism is, to me, an abomination of what we really are. You know, you're free to believe whatever you want, but I believe that we're spiritual beings having a human existence and that we're here to evolve in consciousness. And I believe that what this is really about is controlling that consciousness and suppressing it as much as possible. Can you go to the next slide?
And conflict is critical because this is what
So this isn't going to end until we collectively end it. We need to stand up and stop this. They're already promoting fear porn about monkeypox. Okay? Who'd ever heard of monkeypox before a few weeks ago? Nobody. Well, these are two different photos. One is from a recent health site. The other one is from the government of Queensland in Australia about shingles. Okay? In Pfizer's own documents, there are 10 side effects that have to do with shingles. Okay? Shingles is what you get when you have the chicken pox as a child, and then as you age, your immune system starts to degrade, and so then shingles happens. Okay? If they're damaging people's immune systems, guess what's going to happen to people who've had the chicken pox? They're going to get shingles eventually, and then because they've spread all this fear porn about monkeypox, people are going to think they've got monkeypox, and they're going to be afraid because now they've got monkeypox when really it's shingles.
Just take the K out. It's money pot.
Yeah, whatever. But the thing too is, and I was actually quite shocked by this, but the other day I shared a video by someone who puts together videos. He's like, we don't do conspiracy theories here. Here is video from an event in March of 2021 where they did a dry run war games exercise of an outbreak of monkeypox. This happened a year ago. And they planned for what the media will do, what the governments will do, how we're going to handle monkeypox a year ago. And then Facebook called that false information, even though it's video from the actual event. It's video from these war games, okay? Did you also know about Event 201, which was a war game simulation of a coronavirus pandemic, which occurred in October of 2019, a couple months before this thing? It's not a conspiracy either. You can look that up. There's video of it. It exists, okay? This has been planned. And you know what else has been planned? Food shortages. Biden even was talking about it in the video, a video I saw. Plan for food shortages. Seriously. Apparently there's been 12, sorry I'm going over here, but there's been 12 food processing plants which have miraculously caught on fire, had explosions, and 2 have had planes fly into them in the course of a few months. Seriously, this is not a conspiracy theory. Look it up. This is really about a digital ID, which is a Vax Pass that we're being called so that we can be all hooked up to a social credit system. And by the way, you need a 5G network so that you can monitor everything about people. That's what the 5G is really for, and I'm speaking as an electronic systems engineer. Inflation. They're going to crash the money system. This is already happening. They want us poor. They want us dependent on the government. And there's going to be more restrictions unless we stop it. And there's probably going to be a war, if not in Ukraine and Russia, amongst people here, locally. People are going to go crazy once they start getting really sick, once there's no food. They want chaos so that they can sweep in and be the heroes and say, oh, well, you know, we'll give you what your basic needs. You just need to do everything we say. That is what this is literally about. They want complete control over your life. Next slide, please. So, please, use your power to make this right. I don't care what you do. You have power. Whether it's just telling the truth to your neighbor, if you're a cop, why the hell haven't you arrested Justin Trudeau and Freeland yet? And the Deputy Commissioner of the RCMP, because he's just as complicit in all of this. If you're a reporter, please tell the truth. I know that the media has been paid to hide this perspective. It's been hired to shun people like Dr. Robert Malone, who has 9 patents on mRNA technology. If you want to hear what's going on from someone, wouldn't you want to hear from someone with that level of knowledge? Like, rather than the guy who funds all the research? Seriously, he has way more knowledge than Fauci ever could. It's time to make this right or be held accountable. There needs to be some level of accountability. I don't know what that is. I'm not advocating for violence in any way, but I don't think it's going to be people who have avoided this whole situation that are going to be the ones who become violent. I think it's going to be the ones who have been forced into doing something that they didn't want to do. And I'm afraid of that. That is something that concerns the hell out of me. But please use your power to make this situation better. Please talk about this. Please reach out to your friends and family. I know it's difficult. Oh yeah, I didn't mention, my best friends from high school, I went home to Saskatchewan in the summer, and we normally do a guy's fishing trip up at my buddy's place. I'm uninvited because I'm the only one who's not protected from the thing that they're supposedly protected from. I go all the way to Saskatchewan and I'm not invited to that. And I'm like, what's wrong with you guys? If this works, why are you afraid? Like, it's because of the media. It's because of the lies that people have heard over and over and over again. And I think those lies are losing their power. And I think that more people need to speak their truth. So I'm going to get off the mic. And if you have a story to tell about how this has affected you, please come up here and tell it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Shane. And thank you all for your patience tonight. I know it's hot and the technical difficulties are challenging.